Morgan is my name. I'm 24 years old. 2 weeks ago, on Mother's Day, my mom came into the restaurant where I'd worked for 4 years and embarrassed me in front of 6 tables of people. She saw me in my server outfit, laughed, and said, "Oh, it's you," loud enough for everyone to hear. "We didn't know you still worked here. We're so embarrassed." My sister laughed. A pair at table 12 stopped eating. The family that was celebrating Grandma's birthday stopped talking. I grinned, picked up the menus, and said 4 things that made my boss arrive right away. What occurred after that? Let's just say that day, my mom's credit card wasn't the only thing that got turned down. Let me take you back to where this all began before I tell you everything. 4 years ago. The day my mom made her decision. I was in the kitchen clutching an envelope that was supposed to change my life. There was an acceptance letter inside. Whitfield University. Full academic merit. 5% of the best applicants. I was shaking when I found my mom in the living room. She was on the phone and giggling. There were streamers hanging from the ceiling. A sign said, "Kelsey, congratulations. My younger sister had just gotten into a public college. Not because of merit. Just a normal admission. But you would think she had won the Nobel Prize." "Mom," I responded, holding my letter up. "I got in." Whitfield. She looked at it, put the phone down, and shrugged. "That's nice, sweetie. But you know I can pay for 2 tuitions." I blinked. "What do you mean?" She said, "Kelsey needs help," without any thought. She said, "The apartment near campus, the meal plan, and a reliable car." It sounded like she was listing groceries. She then looked at me and smiled a little. "You are different, Morgan. You made it through. You'll figure it out." That night, I saw my mom give Kelsey the keys to a brand new BMW. White. Bow in red. Parked in our driveway like a commercial. I obtained a schedule for the bus. My parents split up when I was 14 years old. My dad went without saying goodbye or giving me an address. My mom never got better. And for some reason, she thought it was my fault. She wouldn't look me in the eye and said, "You're just like him." Kelsey had the same smile as my mom. Her eyes. She was good at saying what people wanted to hear. I had a bus pass and a list of places that were hiring part-time workers. I didn't cry that night. I opened my laptop and looked for jobs that would fit around my full class schedule. I had 3 interviews by midnight. I got a job at the Oakwood Grill before the end of the week. 4 years. For 1,460 days, I worked double shifts, got up early, and only got 4 hours of sleep if I was lucky. I learned how to pair wines while Kelsey uploaded pictures from Hawaii on Instagram. I worked extra shifts while she was in Aspen for spring vacation. Mom brought her to Paris for her 21st birthday, while I celebrated mine alone in my studio apartment, eating leftover bread from the restaurant. I got a 3.9 GPA. I did research with a professor of finance. I got nominated for doing well in school. My mom didn't go to any of the ceremony. The letdown. The one who opted to work instead of going to school. No one realized that I was only 18 credits away from graduating with honors. No one knew that I had written a book. No one knew anything about me at all. Then, 3 weeks before Mother's Day, everything changed. The break area of the Oakwood Grill smelled like burnt coffee and tired people. I was stuck between lunch and supper shifts, browsing through emails on my broken phone when I spotted it. My heart stopped. Whitmore and Associates didn't hire girls who worked 2 shifts and smelled like hollandaise sauce. They employed people from Harvard, Yale. People who know people in the family and have good credentials. I opened the email. Read it once. Again. Then I looked again, just to be sure my eyes weren't deceiving to me. They were giving me the job of junior financial analyst. The starting pay was greater than what I had made in 4 years of tipping. I had to sit down because my hands were shaking so much. I took a screenshot of the email, saved it, and then did something I had never done before. I called my boss. Mr. Davidson answered on the second ring. "Morgan, aren't you supposed to be on break?" "I got it," I said softly. "Whitmore. They gave me a job. There was a break." Then his voice got softer. "You worked hard for this." I used my apron to wipe my eyes. "I wanted you to be the first to know." He said, "I'm honored." "When do you begin?" "May 12th. The Monday after Mother's Day." "Shut up. Then, your last shift is on Mother's Day." I just sat there looking at my phone after we hung up. That's when I thought of something unusual. Kelsey had posted a tale on Instagram 3 months before. A cropped picture of a job application website. She wrote, "Big things coming," as the caption. I knew right away what the portal was. It was the same one I used to get into Whitmore. But she never brought it up again. No pose for the interview. No party. No news. At the moment, I thought she had changed her mind. Kelsey always did. But now that I was sat there with my offer letter flashing on my screen, a different thought came to me. What if she didn't get in? What if the golden child had been turned down by the same corporation that just employed me? I couldn't prove it, but the lack of noise said enough. That night, I sat on my used couch and thought about stillness. I had been quiet for 4 years to stay alive. When Mom neglected my birthday. When family members asked me why I had given up on school. When Kelsey uploaded pictures of family trips I wasn't invited to. Silence kept things calm. But who wants peace? Nothing would change if I didn't say anything now. I would begin my new job still feeling the same unseen humiliation. Still being the family shame in everyone's story. I made a choice. I would work my last shift on Mother's Day. I would do the work with honor and leave with a clean slate. If my family never found out about my achievement, that's fine. I was no longer hiding. The next day, I printed the offer letter and put it in my work bag. I didn't know how much I would need it yet. The call arrived on a Tuesday. Mom never called on Tuesdays. She said, "Morgan, sweetie," in a voice that sounded like syrup. Mother's Day was on my mind. My stomach got tight. "I have to go to work, Mom. I told you." A break. Then the sweetness went away. "You have to work all the time. It seems like you're avoiding us." "I'm paying my bills." She laughed cruelly. "You sound just like your dad." That word hurt more than it should have. She never said anything about him. "Real daughters make time for their mothers," she remarked softly. I heard someone laughing in the background. Kelsey. Paying attention. "This is fun." "I have to go," I said. Kelsey texted 40 minutes later. "Mom is terribly hurt. You need to say you're sorry." Then a different message. "I heard that your restaurant serves a terrific breakfast, by the way. We might come to see you." My blood turned chilly. I looked at Instagram. Her tale was already there. The glasses of champagne clinked. Tag for the location, Oakwood Grill. They weren't coming to eat. They were there to watch. I called Rebecca, who works with me, right away. I said, "They're coming. My sister and my mom." On the day of Mother's Day. There was a break. Then, oh hell no. She said she would switch parts. I said no. I was done running for the first time in 4 years. I ironed my uniform twice that night. I read my offer letter again. I wrote down things I wouldn't do. Weep. Say you're sorry. Stop. My phone flashed with a text from Mr. Davidson at 6 a.m. It's a big day. Remember, a tip is automatically included for groups of more than 200. No exclusions. I smiled. It felt like armor. The reservation book confirmed that by the time I got to work, I saw automobiles pull into the lot from the front window. My mom was out there somewhere, putting on her lipstick and getting ready to make memories. I was too. When they stepped in, Mother's Day brunch was already a mess. There were fake smiles, clinking glasses, and the gentle tension that usually came with families pretending everything was wonderful in the dining room. They saw me before I saw them. My mom wore pearl earrings that she only took off for rare occasions. Kelsey was wearing a cream-colored outfit and had her phone ready to take pictures. They looked like the perfect couple, the kind of couple people thought should be together. For half a second, I couldn't move. Then the training began. I said, "Good morning," in a firm voice. "Table for Townsend." Mom's smile faded. Kelsey's eyebrows went up a little bit. "Hello," Mom said. "We didn't know you were going to serve us." I gently said, "You asked for Oakwood. This is my part." A beat that is uncomfortable. Kelsey then laughed. "Well, isn't this handy?" I showed them to the table by the window, which was the one everyone wanted. Sunlight flowed across the fresh, white linen. Rebecca looked at me from across the room. "Are you okay?" I nodded. I didn't know if that was real or not. They sat down. I gave out menus. My hands didn't shake. That alone felt like a win. "Okay," Mom responded as she opened hers. "Still doing this?" I said, "For today." Kelsey smiled. "Are you finally going to grow up?" I looked her in the eye. "Yes, actually." She blinked. Not the response she was expecting. I took their drink orders, mimosas and extra champagne, and then I left before any of them could ask more questions. I took a slow breath at the bar. This was more than just a change. This was a test. Mom was already talking when I got back with beverages. She said, "I just worry about you," loud enough for the people at the next table to hear. "You're still waiting tables at your age. That's not a future." Kelsey drank her mimosa and looked at me over the edge. "Hunting." I said, "I'm doing just fine," and put the glasses down carefully. Mom let out a sigh. "We tried to help you. You don't ever listen." I wanted to laugh. Or shout. I took out my notebook instead. "Are we ready to place our order?" Kelsey asked for avocado toast with smoked salmon. Mom chose eggs Benedict. Costly. Of course. I could feel it behind my eyelids as I walked away. 4 years of words stuck in my throat. But I didn't let them go. Not yet. The kitchen was full of people. There were a lot of plates. Orders got mixed up. But every time I walked by their table, I felt like they were watching me. How to judge posture. Tone. Every little thing. Mom frowned as I brought the dinner. "This looks cold." I said, "It just came out." Kelsey poked at hers. "Mine doesn't have any capers." I looked at the plate. They were right there. "Oh," she said in a nice way. "I guess I just didn't notice them." I smiled the way waitresses learned to smile early on. "Have fun." Mom waved me over again in the middle of the dinner. She dabbed her lips and continued, "You know, Kelsey has an interview coming up. A legitimate job. Money. Kelsey's smile got tighter. Oh. I said it gently. Where? She thought about it. A business in the city. Mom leaned in. Very competitive. Not everyone gets in. I nodded. That's right. Kelsey looked uneasy for the first time. The check fell with a quiet thud. Gratuity already included. Mr. Davidson had made sure of it. Mom looked at it. Her mouth was a tiny line. 20%? She snapped. That seems too much. It's policy, I said calmly. I went on, for coming today. It's my last shift. Mom stopped. Last shift? Yes. I took the folded paper out of my apron and put it on the table. The letter of offer. Be quiet. Kelsey got it first. Her eyes moved quickly. Then slower. Then it stopped totally. Mom read while leaning over. Her face lost all its color. Whitmore and Company. Pay. Date to start. You applied. Mom whispered. I got the job, I said softly. Kelsey's hands shook. That's not right. I turned my head. 4 years of being invisible wasn't either. The room appeared to quiet down around us. Something like regret or maybe fear of being seen entered Mom's eyes. I'll start tomorrow, I said. This was just my farewell. I scooped up the receipt, nodded once, and left before either of them could say anything. I heard a chair scrape back quickly behind me. But I didn't look back. I didn't cry in the freezer that you could walk into. I didn't cry in the bathroom either. Just that made me feel like I was growing. The rest of the shift went by in a whirl of refills, thank yous, and fake grins. People talk a lot in restaurants, and by midday, everyone knew it was my last day. Rebecca hugged me so tightly that my ribs hurt. You did it, she said softly. You really did. I clocked out for the last time at 2:07 p.m. The machine beeped, not caring. 4 years turned into a sound and a timestamp. The sun felt different outside. More warm. It seemed like it was waiting for me. I didn't look at my phone till I got to the bus stop. 3 calls that were missed. All from Mom. A text from Kelsey. We need to have a chat. Now. I didn't answer. I put my uniform flat on the bed that night. Carefully folded it. Put it in a box with my name on it. Not trash. Not mad. Just closure. Monday morning arrived quickly. Whitmore and Associates had an office in a glass skyscraper in the middle of town. It had spinning doors and quiet elevators. I wore the only blazer I had, which I bought used and had sleeves that were a little too long. But when I looked in the mirror in the foyer, I hardly recognized myself. I looked real. Orientation was a frenzy of HR documents, badge shots, and whispered introductions. People shook my hand like I was a part of the group. Like I hadn't crept in through a side entrance. My phone buzzed in my backpack around 11:30 a.m. Again, Mom. I didn't pay attention to it. I ate lunch alone at a little table that looked out over the city. A laugh that sounded familiar broke through the air at that point. I looked up. Kelsey. She stood across the cafe, dressed too casually for the place, and her eyes moved about until they found me. Her smile was harsh and brittle. She didn't ask before she stepped over. She said, "This is it. You just go away." I said casually, "I'm at work." She laughed. "You made us look bad." I put my fork down. "You made fools of yourselves." Her eyes lit up. "You knew I applied there." I knew you wrote about it, I said. I didn't know you didn't get in. That hit hard. Do you think you're better than me now? She snapped. I looked her in the eye. No. I suppose I eventually stopped thinking I was worse. For a moment, she seemed little. Then they became mad again. Mom came up behind her, out of breath. Please, Morgan. We took care of you. I almost burst out laughing. Almost. I responded softly, you didn't raise me. You put up with me. There was a long silence. People close acted like they weren't listening. Mom's voice broke. Come back home. Let's talk like family. I got up. Changed my badge. I am home. Security looked at us. Kelsey saw and turned red. She screamed, this isn't over. I smiled, not to be mean, but because I was finally free. It is for me. They went away. My boss came by my desk that afternoon. Quick thing, she said. How did you do during onboarding? Very good. I nodded, shocked. At 6 p.m., I left the building and stepped into a city that didn't recognize me. My phone buzzed one last time. A note from Mom. I'm proud of you. For a long time, I stared at it. After that, I locked my screen and kept going. I had learned that pride feels different when it arrives late. I woke up the next morning without an alarm. No restaurant, no apron, and no fear of what was coming. The sun was shining through the window, the city was buzzing, and my new coffee maker was silently preparing coffee. At first, it seemed wrong. Not enough action. I almost grabbed my old uniform out of habit. Almost. I put on something that made me feel good, a top I liked, slacks that fit well, and shoes that didn't hurt my feet after standing for 12 hours. I checked myself out in the mirror. Morgan Townsend, an expert in finance. Not hidden anymore. Not the one that was missed. Not the one that everyone thought had failed. Only Morgan. At Whitmore, I had a lot of emails. There were welcome letters, team introductions, and a communication from my boss, Mr. Davidson, setting up my first appointment with a customer. He had already seen my toughness, my attention to detail, and how I could handle stress without becoming upset. He didn't know, and I didn't tell him, that I had been training for this for 4 years in a facility that taught me how to be tough. By the middle of the morning, I was sitting at my new desk, staring out over busy streets full with people with big dreams. Every time my phone buzzed with each email, I felt a little less connected to the life I had left behind. The first call came next. Hey, Morgan, it's Kelsey, she said. Her voice had dropped an octave, it was familiar but weak. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I stopped for a moment and let the silence continue. For what? To do everything. Mom, she made things worse than they were. I didn't know. I let out a long breath. Not mad, not bitter. I'm just done. I know, I answered. But this isn't about saying sorry. It's time to move on. I hope you find your way, Kelsey. I really do. Another break. Then, I get it. Thanks, Morgan. I hung up, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to say anything. It was my narrative. I was the one who was successful. I had my tranquility. I had already made an effect on clients by the end of my first week. I wasn't new to being confident, I had been doing it for 4 years of late nights, double shifts, and quiet successes. I wasn't just getting by, I was doing well. I went to my favorite place that weekend, a little cafe with a view of the river. I ordered a pastry that I really wanted, not one that fit into my schedule or budget. I drank my coffee and watched people walk past, couples chatting and friends telling stories. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely there. No hard feelings. No stress. Just a peaceful, tranquil happiness. After that week, Mom and Kelsey never got in touch with me again. And I didn't need them to. I had established something stronger than approval, a life that belonged totally to me. Weeks stretched into months. Then came promotions. Mentors took note. There were more chances. Every time I stepped into the office, I brought with me a calm confidence, a recollection of that Mother's Day, and the certainty that no one could define my worth but myself. And sometimes, when I passed the Oakwood Grill on the way to meetings, I gaze at the window and smile. That place taught me more than patience or multitasking. It taught me to hold my head high when the world attempted to tell me I wasn't enough. It taught me how to win discreetly, graciously, and finally, unapologetically. The real win isn't showing them they're incorrect. The real win is showing that you're right.